The Grand Arena is in full swing for Marvel Snap, running now through November 3rd. In today's video, we're going to cover the highest win rate decks on the Untapped tracker for every one of the 8 champions, and we're going to break down which of the default decks that everyone can play without owning any of the cards have the best performance metrics. Let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? Likely to the surprise of few who have been playing in the event, Mr. Fantastic Ongoing Stuff is the most popular and strongest performing archetype overall, with these 12 cards being the best performing among decks that have a significant sample size. Some notable inclusions here over the default deck are Cosmo to give you a little bit of anti-interaction to stop people from breaking you up with Disruption, as well as Super Scroll to give you some toxic tech for the mirror matches, since this deck list is definitely one of the more common that people have being played. Our second highest win rate champion with a significant sample size is actually the Hulk, and I would wager that that is in no small part due to the fact that this particular build is playing a glut of interaction that allows it to line up really efficiently into the ongoing deck that is numero uno. Red Guardian, Cosmic Ghost Rider, as well as Lady Deathstrike all let you mess up your opponent with efficiency, with Lady Deathstrike being a card in particular that I've found is really potent inside of this game mode. One of the really nice things about this build is that the Hulk champion spell gives you something to do on turn 2 for 3 energy, and then you can slam Hulk on turn 3, and then on turn 4 you can slam one of your 5 energy interactive pieces, and then still have 2 more turns to follow that up with extra bits, either slamming more points or being more disruptive, whichever is better for you at that given moment. Carnage is our third highest win rate champion by the numbers on Untapped, with the sample deck list being one of the better performing variations. It's actually not that far off of the default deck list that you get for free, with the notable changes being that we have Agony over Hulkbuster as a little bit more efficient manner, as well as the addition of X23 for extra energy and Headpool as another way to start scaling up stats inside of your hand. It's worth calling out that there are a lot of variations on the Destroy archetype in this game mode, just like we see in regular Marvel Snap, with the one biggest difference being that Arnim Zola is still a staple for Destroy inside of Grand Arena, because the extra energy that you have makes it easier to deploy multiple sixes over the course of the game. Our fourth highest win rate champion is Herbie, who Savor the Flavor is fitting in fantastically with a number of the Fantastic Four First Steps characters, essentially just having an end of turn deck from regular Marvel Snap be ported directly into Grand Arena with Herbie as an enabler. The fact that this deck list wants to spread out 1 energy cards for Marvel Boy means that Herbie powering up your other locations is nice. If you're looking to get nice and linear inside of this game mode, this deck list looks to be an excellent way to do that, thanks to Invisible Woman, Jocasta, and Prodigy letting you make absolutely massive numbers. Thor is probably one of the champions I personally have had the most fun playing in Grand Arena so far, with these 12 cards that have the highest win rate for the champion being ones that I showcased on my daily deck uploads channel shortly after the event launched. I absolutely love jumping Werewolf by Night all around the board, and Thor and his hammers give us an absolutely excellent excuse to be doing that. We get to leverage Firehair alongside Misery and Lady Deathstrike as ways to supercharge our hammers, as well as Odin at the top end to double things up that way. This deck list finds its hammers hyper consistently as well, thanks to King Eitri as well as Jane Foster the Mighty Thor, giving us ways to fish them up out of our deck. Similar to my call out inside of the Hulk's deck earlier, I think Lady Deathstrike in particular is really well positioned into what's going on in this game mode right now, and the fact that this deck gets to play here as not only an interactive bit but also a Firehair enabler feels quite strong. The best performing Ghost Spider variation, these 12 cards, is also another one that I have on my highlights channel. This deck list was a ton of fun, and I was honestly really impressed with how absolutely massive Ghost Spider gets from her champion skill so consistently. When you play it out for 4 energy, it adds 2 points to Ghost Spider for every time one of your cards has moved over the course of the game, and basically every game I played with this deck, it regularly put her into the double digits, with a number of times her breaking 20 plus points of power. Spider-Man 2099 is one of those cards that I like always throw inside of movement decks whenever the opportunity presents itself, but often I write it off at the end of the games. However, inside of Grand Arena, I honestly found myself quite impressed with this one. Being able to blow up an ongoing card or tag a big thing out of Hulk felt like it had a lot of flexibility, and the fact that you have 1 extra energy on each turn in this game mode means the typical clunkiness that we feel from a 5 energy play in Spider-Man 2099 often feels pretty mitigated, and we're guaranteed to have a move enabler for him so long as we hold our Ghost Spider back till later in the game. This deck list also gets to play a ton of efficient interaction. Red Guardian and Cosmic Ghost Rider obviously lining up great into the end of turn as well as ongoing stuff, but even Spider-Man is quite good into what ongoing has going, thanks to moving things like Mr. Fantastic or a Moonstone being quite disruptive to what they're looking to do in terms of their game plan. Now, our last two champions, Mole Man and Magneto, are definitely scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit in terms of performance, while these particular Mole Man cards did have an above 50% win rate on the Untapped tracker. It was only marginally so, and the sample size on these cards was definitely on the smaller side. That being said, I do think it has a lot of good tools for the metagame, talking about the disruptive cards that have been consistently good. If you want a different approach on Mole Man that I particularly have been enjoying personally, this build featuring Patriot as well as Victoria Hand was my favorite way to play it in the previous iteration of Grand Arena, and we've tuned it up with newer cards like Bastion to feel quite good again this time around. I absolutely love that Mole Man's rocks that he generates get buffed by both Patriot and Victoria, and we had a ton of games with this deck on stream where our rocks broke double digits. One interactive card I want to call out here that was quite efficient for us as well is Echo, throwing that down in the Mr. Fantastic matchup in the center lane, and then even occasionally bastioning it or freeing it gives the ongoing deck fits. And then we're also leveraging Cosmo here as a form of occasional disruption, but also notably protection to keep things like Lady Deathstrike from wiping out our Victoria or Patriot. There's no sugarcoating it. Magneto is definitely the worst champion in this game mode by the numbers, with none of his deck lists having an above a 50% win rate, and these 12 cards being the least bad build on the tracker. But even that honestly feels like kind of a cop-out, because this is just an Aeroshim deck at its core with some tech slop mixed in, so there's really pretty high floor on how bad an effect like this can be. Before we jump on into talking about the best performing default decks that everybody gets for free, I'd like to give a quick shout out to one of my longtime sponsors, Into the AM. They make the awesome graphical shirts you always see me wearing in my content, as well as modeling here on the ticker that's been up for this whole video. They've got their fall sale going on through October 30th. You can get up to 60% off of everything on their website. You use my code HOGLANDIA, found in the link down below, to get a little bit extra off on top of that. Be sure to check them out. Moving along to the best performing default decks that everyone has access to without owning any of the cards, the Hulk deck is definitely the best default one. As of my recording of this video, there are upwards of 20,000 games logged on the Untapped tracker with these 12 default cards, and they have a fantastic 58% win rate. I would wager a big part of the strength in this deck is the fact that Lady Deathstrike is such a powerful interactive card against ongoing, which is the most popular thing, and the tech card inclusion of armor gives you quality counterplay against Destroyer, which is probably the second most popular thing running around. I absolutely love that Second Dinner has made a best effort to make sure we have multiple competitive decks that you can play for free to make jumping into this game mode completely easy to earn all the rewards. Our second best performing default deck is the ongoing one, still having a very respectable 54% win rate and over 11,000 games logged on the Untapped tracker. I think the one big miss on Secondary's part when it came to building this one is definitely Cosmo should have been in here, probably over Mojo or the Punisher, in my opinion. Our last default deck putting up serviceable metrics is the default Carnage Destroy build, having a 51% win rate and over 9,000 games logged. I think this build is very reasonable, all things considered, with perhaps maybe trimming things like Sabretooth next time around Second Dinner if you're going to bring this one back for other higher quality Destroy assets that we have available to us now. All in all, I gotta say, I'm loving the Grand Arena the second time through. It's definitely one of my favorite ways to play Marvel Snap right now. I would love to hear in the comments down below what deck lists you've been enjoying. And remember, if you want to see a number of the ones that I called out as my favorites in this video in action, I'm going to link to my daily deck uploads channel below as well, where a number of those have been highlighted already and more will be coming up as we get through the week. One last shout out to my longtime sponsor, Into the End. Be sure to check them out for awesome shirts and other clothing like this on sale now through October 30th. I appreciate everybody that made it all the way through to the end of today's video. I hope your next snap pack is an excellent one, and hopefully we'll see you back again in the future real soon.